Irving, a question that came up was whether value investing was an art or science. What would you say, Irving, and perhaps Tom?
My son and I don't always agree, but we both agree that it's an art in the sense that you never saw a great painter that didn't learn as a protege or some master painter. And also that how great a man might be, he can paint some bad pictures too. But it's no science, and all the kids who believe in the equations or rules that will make for perfect markets will learn better as they get older.
Prem, if it were a science, it would be replicatable. You could put certain algorithms in the machine, and you could pop out the answer, and it doesn't work that way. So it has to be an art.
I'm curious, as the baby boomers move into retirement, someone has hypothesized that there will be essentially an excess of securities that will be sold to finance retirements and whatnot, and not enough demand to fill that glut that will be then on the market, thus depressing the whole economy or the whole securities market. I was wondering, A, if you could comment on that, and B, as a value investor, I guess you would think that that's probably a good thing, but I'd like to hear your comments on that.
I think that baby boomers have had the misfortune of believing what the advertisers tell them to believe in. That is to say, they buy the big mutual funds, which are so much now in the trillions, and they, of course, cannot buy small value stocks. They can't, they swamp every company. So they buy the big capitalizations of the major 500 in the Standard & Poor's or other indices. So in effect, your concern about the baby boomers tipping the market downwards, I think is kind of a good thing if it happens, because they've not been value investors, and they might make the market more attractive for people who are value investors.
My question is concerning technology stocks. I was wondering if you might be able to comment on your approach to valuing technology stocks, and in light of some of the recent, I guess, the resurge of that area, how it may or may not differ from Mr. Buffett's investment strategy. Thank you.
Well, we like technology stocks only after they've crashed. So we like busted tech stocks where we can buy them at close to cash per share, where they might have a lot of cash and no debt, at book value discounts. So popular tech stocks are of no interest to us, because as contrarians, our discipline doesn't really let us buy popular stocks.
If you're looking for a company to invest in, and you look for one that has perhaps management problems or affected by economic problems, would you consider an entire acquisition strategy or a gradual acquisition strategy, and how would you differentiate the two?
I think I can answer that best by telling you that there are very few investors more successful than Warren Buffett is. If you look at all the companies he's bought, he's practically never made a mistake. Now that's due to his brain and his abilities, but it's also due to his courage. Because the first time Warren and I worked together for Ben Graham, the first time that I saw him do something which I thought was foolish was when he got tricked by a crook in a scandal of Salad Oil, which he borrowed money on what was supposed to be Salad Oil, was Salad Oil on the top and water on the bottom. And American Express looked like it was going to go under, but Warren had the courage to hold on to it. In other words, there are times when bad news is very good for value investors if it's not permanently bad. Or, for example, take another example out of Warren. Warren bought control of a company in California in the candy business, private company called See's, S-E-E, and he paid 3 times book, which is very unnatural. But he was absolutely right, because he recognized that the company had such a good record, and it was so efficient, that once they broke out of being limited to just the California market and becoming East Coast and all over, their earnings would go up, and indeed they have.
I would say that in general, our approach involves buying an initial position in a company, getting to know it better, for us, there's never a green light that goes on and says you have to buy it, or a red light that kind of goes on and says you have to sell it. So I would say we kind of ease into a situation over time, and frequently things that we buy go down. We do more homework, and we say, gee, you know, we were right, but we were just too early. And we have the courage of our convictions, and we'll end up buying more. In fact, some of our best capital gains have come just from that principle. So just because a company's shares go down doesn't mean it's unattractive. The question is it a greater value? And so we move slowly both on the way in and on the way out, I would say.
Yes, I think we should urge people, especially who are in business school, not to be fooled by all of the snake oil friends in Wall Street who try to tell you you can make money in a hurry or in a year or 2 years. Most of our holdings are 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years, sometimes longer. And that comes to a point that I think George wrote a question about when do you sell them. It's a very hard thing to answer. But I think, quickly speaking, companies are like plants. When they begin to wither because the management is no good or the competition gets to be too bad, you can see it and you can take your profit. But most of the time, values well bought are half sold already. And so I think we don't have that problem too often.